Let's see what happens. We've got Russ versus French, and here we go. Spawning in the north of the map in blue, we have MarineLorD playing the Russ. So, personally, love to see the red Civ playing in blue and the blue playing in red to make it nice and complicated. And we have got Blackwidow in the south of the map playing as the French. So as we've been discussing before this matchup, probably or almost definitely a Russ favoured map this, especially because there are a number of wolves scattered over the map, but not one in which France has no chance. So taking a little bit of a look at the map, you'd probably prefer MarineLorD's gold position a little bit less exposed, but not dramatically so. And then other than that, very, very equal wood lines, very equal stone and berry bush positioning. So I think they'll both be fine with those placements. You'd probably want MarineLorD's, but it's pretty negligible. So I'm interested to see here if Blackwidow tries to quickly get out and deny some of the bounty for MarineLorD by killing a few of the deer very, very quickly. What are you expecting to see in the early game?
I would love to see that. So here's the deal. When you're making a fast castle build with the Rus, you're not even planning to mine gold. The concept is that you get as much bounty as you can, and then just sell your food with the golden gate to get the required amount of gold. This means that the amount of transactions you have to make on the golden gate depends on the bounty you start with. So it is actually very, very vital to accumulate as much bounty as you can, because it could mean that you need one more transaction on the golden gate, and that's your main bottleneck, because your amount of transactions is limited. Now, as you said, there is so many wolves on this map that it's relatively easy to get the 250, 300 bounty, and you see that MarineLorD is already at 100, being chased by two wolves around here, so I feel like the best thing that Blackwidow can do to minimize the amount of gold his opponent gets from bounty is to go for a second scout at the beginning, but that's not something that he's doing, and even if he did it, it's going to be very difficult to deny all that bounty from MarineLorD.
Yeah, Blackwidow looks like he's doing a very, very generic French build here, from what I can see. He's not trying to really pull out any tricks. He's not gone for the second scout. I mean, he is going for your very standard, you know, quick age up into knights and chivalry. I imagine, unless there's something that I'm not seeing. He's kind of going for the pretty standard opening. And look at all of those wolves. Look at that. How fast is that bounty going up? This feels very, very fast. He must be racing into that early bounty. It's pretty
Um,
rapid
that,
stuff.
that's Blackwidow. That's Blackwidow. So
Oh, sorry,
that's
sorry.
that's minus 75 gold for MarineLorD, and that's almost life-saving for Blackwidow, because that would have been an insane amount of gold for MarineLorD to work with. He's bringing in two wolves himself, but that's going to be around 260-ish bounty. That's probably where you can get to with the Rus on any map. That's your target, getting to 250. So the fact that Blackwidow was able to deny the rest of the gold income is actually a nice sign for him. If MarineLorD found those free wolves on the right side, this would have been a massive advantage for him. And it looks like we're going to see a second town center for Blackwidow here. Interesting idea, a tiny bit risky, but could work against the cav archers, because the cav archers can't do much to kill villagers close to town centers. And since the cav archers can't make siege themselves, it's gonna be difficult to punish a 2TC boom here, potentially.
Yeah, I actually like what Blackwidow's doing here, because I think, as you've said yourself, this is favored from this is favored Russ. So I like now that Blackwidow is doing something a little bit unconventional. I said he was doing a generic build before, and he's not. In fact, I was incorrect. He's going for that second TC, which I don't think either of us expected, but I think it's the right thing to do. I think he's got to try and do something a little bit different. He's got that school of cavalry now coming up, so we're about to start seeing some knights on the field. I'm going to be very interested to see what he can do with them.
A couple of knights could be nice, because that way you could try preventing those scouts from bringing in the deer, maybe try to get one or two kills, but it's very likely that MarineLorD will be able to swoop that in. As expected, the professional scouts upgrade is coming in, and the concept here now is that you will have a very good food income with that level 2 bounty. You will ferry in the deer, and you will just sell your food for gold, just so that you can get to Castle Age as fast as possible. it's probably more efficient than just going out to mine stone, and this way, your base is very, very compact, it's very, very difficult to harass it.
Yeah, I know. I definitely agree with that. I mean, these knights are going to struggle to do very much damage, and that bounty has just hit 300, right? Yeah. So really, really efficient stuff there from MarineLorD. And is he about to go professional scouts? What are you thinking?
Yep,
Yeah,
it's a
there we go.
must-have.
Yeah,
For the
he's
Rus,
already.
it's a must-have simply because you already invest into a lot of scouts. Might as well use them to swoop up the hunt and bring it in.
Just so efficient. He's now got that knight out chasing the scouts, Black Widow. But I mean, they're not really fast knights. It's quite because he's also made that second town center and slowed himself down a little bit. Is that going to go down? That scout, oh, one shot away from going down. Black Widow manages to get the escape, and just look at all of these deers coming in so fast from the Rust player. Resembles the first game on Hillendale. Just very, very good for MarineLorD. Very, very quick. Very good APM. Bringing back all of those deer carcasses very fast indeed.
So here's the deal. The two town centers will give a slight eco advantage for Blackwidow at the beginning, but once we see Castle Age for MarineLorD, he's gonna have the 5 relics working for him because he's almost guaranteed to be able to pick up all of them, since his opponent won't be able to contest it against the cavalry archers and against the warrior monks. And after that, I just feel like MarineLorD doesn't need to play aggressive. So he is really not going to be in the need of pushing his opponent because he's going to be more than happy to sit on the relics he has. As you see, he's going to use that one ticket to sell some food for the gold he needs. As I said, depending on the bounty you collect, that determines how many tickets you have to use to get yourself to Castle Age. And that's your main bottleneck. And usually what we are seeing is that since you don't have the tickets, you just have a lot of food being floated. What you will do is that the moment you get it, you will sell your food for gold, and then you pull like 20 villagers to make the Abbey of the Trinity. Indeed, it's going to be 10 villagers being sent. This will be followed up with warrior monks to pick up the relics, and triple range cav archers. This is the standard unique Rus fast castle build with a very nice timing, around 8 minutes of fast castle.
And that's the thing about MarineLorD. All of his builds throughout this tournament have just as that knight's only just getting away. As you said, very, very compact base here. So that knight did absolutely nothing. And I think future knights are also going to do very little. As another batch of deer carcasses come in, all of MarineLorD's builds are just so incredibly clean. It's really something else. Like they're almost flawless. Everything that you'd want to see, you see. The micro is excellent. The APM is excellent. Just you can see why this is really difficult for Black Widow. Of course, this game is still wide open. It's just started. He's not behind. Saying that, MarineLorD now does hit up to Castle Age with the Abbey of the Trinity. So you see why it's difficult, and now you just see that score jump as that landmark went down, that huge score jump as well. So Black Widow, he's got these knights on the field that have really inflicted no damage at all. Another knight coming in right now, but that knight is going to do. It's got nothing to do. I mean, there is absolutely no way that knight can even pick off one villager, with how well structured this base is.
And the thing is that MarineLorD's build here could have been a slightly better if those archer ranges got a tiny bit faster. We have seen iterations of this build where the archer ranges finish by the time you get to Castle Age. That's the target, because you want to start making horse archers the moment you hit Castle Age. Not really a big deal right now for MarineLorD. The key thing is nailing that fast castle and going for relics, and you see, MarineLorD knows exactly that he has the chance to pick up all relics because he's starting off with the one in the southernmost corner, the one that's furthest away from him.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. He brings back another batch of deer carcasses. Isn't it just amazing how quickly France has fallen from grace as this... Oh, it just goes to show... Are those scouts going to take back the knight? The scouts... Just to rub insult to injury. I mean, like, they could just turn around and fight almost. They've got, like, 5 hit points left, but... The fall from grace is just remarkable from France, from having been perceived as this unbeatable OP Civ, everyone was wanting to cancel the devs because France were released supposedly so OP, and they've not really been nerfed at all or touched, and apart from a small nerf onto the Royal Knights, and they just don't look that OP anymore. Saying that, finally Black Widow also gets up to Castle Age, so both players now on Castle Age. Score gap begins to close up a little bit, I mean the game's definitely not over, but the Rust build is so powerful that it's just very very difficult. Take a bit of a risky path there being taken by that warrior monk, but he's going to be okay. Yeah, yeah, he's totally fine. It's really difficult to see a way in to this game when that Rust build is so clean and so effective right now. It's such a strong meta.
It is very, very powerful indeed. And you see, that's a boar being taken down, so MarineLorD gets 75 gold with that. Very nice little touch for him. And if he finds the other boar, that would be an additional 75. So, you mentioned the Fall of Grace for the French. It's mostly about the fact that French is just so easy to learn. You didn't see builds like these with the Rus early on because the people needed some time to figure it out. And now you see, the scouts can be used as your torch units, so you break down the tower, and your horse archers will deny the gold mine.
Yeah, and we just saw 4 villagers drop there, which is basically, I don't want to say it, but almost feels GG that he's just been denied gold and lost 4 villagers. That is, I mean, he does have the 2 town centers, so that's going to help him to rebuild, but oh, that is really painful. That is really painful. Look at just that massive units already from MarineLorD. Oh my goodness, there are so many units on the field. Villager advantage. MarineLorD's got more current resources. He's almost definitely got far more resources per minute. And now he's about to go and deny that gold as well. And we're about to see some more villagers drop because they're being one-shotted here. 2 villagers go down. 3 go down. That is absolutely brutal. That is really brutal stuff. He's just got no access to gold. That's it. Both of his gold mines are just cut off just like that.
He's doing the right thing, by the way. So he's going for foot archers, voling himself off, because he knows exactly that a foot archer mass is able to beat the horse archers, and if he voles up, the mobility of the cav archers cannot be used, but MarineLorD won't care. And that's the thing. You can follow up with this fast castle build so well with the Rus. You can pick up the relics. He already has 2 in that epi, and worst case scenario, if you can't push Blackwidow, you just capture the sacred sites and force him to make a move.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, like, I think everyone would like to see Black Widow pull one game off. Doesn't matter who you're supporting, yeah, you always want to see someone manage to pull off a game from behind and make it into a game. I'm just trying to think of any way that Black Widow can kind of get his way back into that game, but that mass is building, and as you've said, MarineLorD is growing his economy behind it. As I see another relic there making its way back. I just spotted out the corner of my eye MarineLorD with another relic. Yeah, I think he's got even another one being brought. But I mean, he's just... How many relics now does he have inside that monastery?
He's gonna have 3. There's a 4th one coming in. The 5th one is wide open for taking.
God.
He just finished with... He just finished with the Boyer's Fortitude upgrade, so he's going to have 105 HP on those cav archers soon. But the big deal is that he's already transitioning to Knights, so even if Black Widow somehow holds this, MarineLorD will have Knights soon that will just annihilate all those archers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think of like a way to kind of talk up Black Widow's chances, but the problem is, like you said earlier, when you've got a Civ mismatch, which this is, you need your opponent to do something wrong, and MarineLorD just doesn't seem to make very many mistakes. As those archers get into a flat line, look at that formation. That's pretty. And now he's got, and in fact he's actually got. Oh my god! I mean, those archers are just. He's got no archers left, and he's now approaching the sacred site victory. I mean, he's not going to win a sacred site victory, right? But it's just if you needed any additional pressure. So keep an eye on that, because there's not a timer that we see just in case. We've seen that around the 14-minute 20 mark. So, I mean, that is not how this game is going to be won. But, I mean, it just speaks volumes about the level of map control and map dominance that he's got right now. Can we take a look at the villager count? Because he's got 2 TCs, but so many villagers seem to have dropped.
it really doesn't matter, honestly. There's a 14 villagers lead, but in exchange, there is 5 relics working for MarineLorD. So if you look at the resource income per minute, quite a lot of wood income for Blackwidow, but the big
Look at
deal is
that
the food and
gold.
gold.
Oh my
And
god, that gold.
the thing is that Blackwidow is playing outdated meta. This build that he's using here, or the Abbasid build on Hillandale, those were the top builds 2 weeks ago. But the meta is evolving so fast that they actually are now outdated, and they have been taken over by some more powerful builds, like this blazing fast castle from the Rus.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that I think you're exactly putting your finger on what's happening here. That is a very, very good description, that we are seeing a 10-day-old meta, and in a brand new RTS, 10 games, 10 is just a lot. That is a huge 10 days, sorry, is a very long time. And like, Blackwidow's almost playing a different game. He's a very, very good player, and he will have big moments in this game, and I think, this is not showing anywhere near what Blackwidow is capable of. But he maybe needs a week or two to catch up to the current meta, because yeah, this just isn't it. And you're right that the Civ picks have kind of showed that off a little bit as well. That is just a death wall if I ever saw one. That Cav mass, isn't it? That is a serious mass.
Speaking of which, there's also a lot of stealth forests on the map, so if Blackwidow's problems weren't large enough, it's also a problem for him that it's difficult to move out of his base. He has no idea where he will be jumped upon by all those knights, all those cav archers, because his vision is so limited by those stealth forests. On Arabia, it would be a little bit easier to find the opponent's army, try to take a fight that you can win, but on this map it's just so difficult because your opponent can hide the army literally anywhere.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. I mean, he's got the. I don't hate the composition here, but at the same time, he's just got, those spring odds do fine against Cav right now, but they're going to come in, and this is not a fight that Blackwidow wants to take at this point, and I think, yeah, MarineLorD's just going to push in. He doesn't need to wait, especially. Yeah, they're just melting. These units are just melting. I mean, the composition doesn't matter when you've got this. Just the pure volume of units is overwhelming like this.
Exactly. The thing is that...
yeah, Blackwidow's never going to get an opportunity to... I mean, I think the one thing that MarineLorD wanted to... it doesn't even matter. Is he calls GG, and that's the game, and that's the series. That was just the epitome of clean Lidakor.
It was very clean. As I said, it's a little disappointing for Blackwidow because this set, as you said, doesn't necessarily show his skills. But
Lidakor, are you shocked into silence? I think you might be muted, Lidakor, or either you're muted or shocked into silence.
Oh yeah, I was muted. I was muted on Discord. But yes, the thing is that this game or this set does not show Blackwidow's true skills. But as I said, the word I would use is outdated. The thing is that he has the tools. You could see that his execution is not bad. His builds are relatively clean. The big problem for him is that the strategies that he's picking are just outdated compared to what MarineLorD is doing. MarineLorD is the Ferrari of Age of Empires 4 right now. And I think Blackwidow is also a Ferrari, but from 1921.
Oof. Lidakor. Lidakor. Listen, look, I would say that, things can change very quickly. MarineLorD has been dominating AoE 4 for longer than Blackwidow's kind of been around the top of the ladder. There's so much time still to go. There are going to be big open events where Blackwidow might be able to catch up. I mean, this was a very dominant performance, but I think a lot of people forget just how good MarineLorD is. I mean, like the reality is, right? We're no longer. This is no longer on YouTube now, so we can speak directly to chat, right? The reality is that none of us are getting close to the quality of Blackwidow. Like, unless your name is kind of like one of the top 10 players in the game, he is just so incredibly good Black Widow, but it just shows you just the level of MarineLorD right now. He is, I think you could say, possibly the best player in the game right now. Probably, like, with the amount of money these games are worth. I can tell you now, like, I chose Black Widow for this series before the game was released, right? That was chosen before. Not sure if he would have been picked to be one of the first or the first player if it had been known just how good he will be and just how dominant he will be. But yeah, he's just seriously playing very, very well.